How much did this embargo affect? On this day in history, February 7, 1962, President John F. Kennedy enacted an expanded blockade against Cuba, preventing U.S. business and citizens from conducting trade or commerce. The embargo, which has been a source of debate for decades, has undoubtedly produced adverse effects on Cuba's economy and played a large part in the recent history of the Western Hemisphere. The embargo was also not just a snap decision by the Kennedy administration, it resulted from a rapid decline in U.S.-Cuban relations. Fidel Castro, who had come to power, initially sought a friendly relationship and undertook a goodwill toward the United States. However, he was a communist, which the Americans did not take lightly. In 1960, President Eisenhower barred American companies from selling oil to Cuba. In 1961, the United States botched a takeover during the Bay of Pigs invasion, and all hope for friendship between the two countries eroded. Over the decades, the embargo lapsed several times. Although travel is still restricted, it has become easier for Americans to enter Cuba legally, and some businesses still conducted. The US does lose a substantial amount of money via the embargo, but for Cuba, with its smaller economy, it's much worse, as the loss of tourists who travel to every other island in the Caribbean partially impacts how much revenue Cuba can make. In the end, many historians, economists, and political strategists have argued that the embargo never achieved its primary objective, isolating the nation and forcing it to adhere to US demands. Instead, it forced Cuba to become highly dependent on the Soviet Union, and when it fell in 1991, the Cuban economy was devastated. Cuba can and still does conduct trade with many other countries around the world, but the embargo on movement and goods between the island and the dominant superpower of the Western Hemisphere has hampered its development as an independent nation. If you've learned something, consider dropping a like and subscribing to my channel. Your support would mean the world to me.